Hello, my friends. Joe Theodore, astrologer here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today I would like to explore with you guys the upcoming Mars in Cancer transit, the upcoming Mars in Leo transit, then the Mars retrograde in Leo, Mars retrograde in Cancer, and then when we go direct again in Cancer, and then Mars goes direct again in Leo. And before you know it, we get to mid-June 2025. Yes, you heard that correctly, my friends. We are going to be dealing with Mars in Cancer and in Leo for 10 months, if you can believe that. And this is starting the first week in September. I forget the actual date, but I will be talking more about that in the upcoming September forecast, which I plan on recording tomorrow or the next day. And then that will be available on my Patreon before I release it probably September 1st on YouTube. But guys, this transit is no joke. And I actually was speaking with someone earlier today about Mars in Cancer and some of the basic things that we most likely will feel in a general sense with that transit. But then, of course, wherever Cancer is in your birth chart, whatever house topic and theme of life that is, greatly dictates how that Mars will express itself or actually not express itself very well. Mars, in my experience, does not like Cancer. It likes Scorpio, but it doesn't like Cancer because usually there's a lot of emotional sensitivities and emotional issues that Mars does not like to get involved with. And when it gets involved with it, depending on the karma of the situation or the karma of whatever might be going on within one's life during that transit, or what the karma of the past has been during that part of one's life, greatly will dictate, the trials and tribulations or the successes and revelations that can come from that. Because I don't like to say like any planet, any transit, any aspect even is a doom and gloom scenario. I think, yes, we go through challenges in life, but I've been through challenges in life when I was supposed to have an amazing, like Venus return, for example. I've gone through some really horrible things during last year when Venus was retrograde, though, obviously, but there was a moment before it went retrograde where, I had a really horrible summer, 2023. I was very, very sick and injured. And there was a lot of great astrology in the summer of 2023, right? But my reason for that horrible summer, if you want to get astrological, I was going through a 12th house perfection year, right? So my entire 2022 into 2023 was very much activated with a lot of deep 12th house karmic clearing and getting really, really injured and being isolated, right? The 12th house is a place of isolation. And kind of re-examining things in life because you can't do much. But what got me talking this morning about Mars and Cancer is I was talking about someone who was going to be dealing with that transit in the 12th house and how there could be a lot of things coming up for someone with 12th house stuff, especially when you're dealing with Cancer, especially when you're dealing with Mars. And how, yes, the karma of what's going on, especially with someone with Cancer 12th house, whatever karma is going on there, Mars can definitely cause a lot of emotional disturbance, psycho-spiritual warfare, as I made it very clear to the individual I was talking to this morning. There's a potential for a psycho-spiritual war, and that war is going to be very emotional. But the point of me talking about this today, guys, and again, I don't want to make this video very long, and I'm really going to try my best to kind of keep this one shorter because I'm going to have so many other times to talk about this transit because it's going to be ongoing for 10 months. All right. And I'll just break it down real quick, the timeline. September to literally almost election day, we will have Mars in Cancer going direct, right? The Monday before Election Day, I don't know if that's the 3rd, November 3rd, that's when Mars will ingress into Leo, okay? Then Mars will go only about 5 or 6 degrees into Leo before it goes retrograde December 5th or 6th, okay? So from December 5th and 6th and 7th on, we will be in a Mars retrograde cycle. So Mars will barely be going direct in Leo at all, right? So we're just going to taste what Mars direct in our Leo parts of our life are. Then boom, it'll go retrograde around 6 degrees and then start retrograding back towards Cancer. Then January 6th, of all days in America, especially after such a contentious, highly anticipated, and highly stressful election, we will have Mars re-enter Cancer at 29 degrees January 6th. Mars will then begin a very, very long retrograde cycle in Cancer that will last probably, I think, another month or so, okay, as it continues to retrograde into February. Mid to late February, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is when Mars will go direct in Cancer. Then it will slowly start moving through Cancer again, okay, which is what everything we're going to be experiencing during September and October and into November. And we're going to start having that cycle begin again, right? Those same degrees are going to be traveled over in a direct motion when we get into early March. Then when March comes around, mid-March into early April, we are going to have a massive Mercury retrograde and a Venus retrograde that will end up happening around the same time. They will be going retrograde together. I think Venus will be retrograde before Mercury, but Mercury will go retrograde and they will be retrograde together. They will actually form conjunctions while they're retrograde. So there's going to be a lot of interesting manifestations that I'm not really at liberty to talk about yet, nor do I really have any details to share on that, but that is pretty massive to have some Mercury and Venus retrogrades happening between Pisces and Aries, because that's where that's going to be happening, okay? All while Mars is still traveling through Cancer, heading towards Leo, okay? So we're still in the thick of the Mars retrograde, or Mars, just generally speaking, Cancer-Leo story. Then eventually, as we push through April, May, and into June, we will finally have Mars back into Leo at this point. You know, at some point, Mars will be back into Leo around the March, April, right time. And Mars will be then going through Leo up until mid-June, okay? And then when mid-June comes, that is when Mars will be out of Leo into Virgo, okay? So think about how many months we're going to be dealing with Cancer and Leo activated Martian energy. That's a long time. What is going on in your life, right? What is the Cancer part of your life? What is the Leo part of your life? Because yes, the retrograde part of all this with Mars is going to bring stuff up. We're going to have a lot of things that we're not going to feel movement in. Okay. That doesn't mean we're stalled out. It doesn't mean we're going to get injured and be laid up forever. Some of us might find some of us might feel illness may arise, maybe in one part of your life. Cancer, you're dealing with the moon. You're dealing with motherly energy. And Mars can injure. Mars can cause conflict, right? And that could be conflict on the body. That could be conflict on the mind. So when we're dealing with retrograde Mars, we're going to be dealing with like a rest and recovery. We're going to want to be moving forward in that part of our life, but we're not going to be able to. We're going to really need to reassess our emotional needs in that particular part of your life. And this can be on so many different shades and frequencies, guys. This doesn't have to be so profound and loud. These can just be things that are a part of your life that's not very loud and obnoxious, or that's going to destroy you in any way. And I would never say that any transit would destroy anyone. But there's going to be lessons learned. Every day of our life, every week, every month, there is something that we have to deal with in life. There is a challenge. There is a stressor. There is a manifestation that we must face. And when it comes to things like this, it is just one house topic, two with Leo, if you want to include Leo, because Cancer is really going to be the story up until we get to spring. Because then when spring comes, that's when we're really going to know, okay, what does Mars really mean in Leo for us? Because until it really goes direct and starts flying through the rest of the 20-something degrees, because remember, it's going to go retrograde early December at 6 degrees. So we're not even going to know what a Mars and Leo transit is for us. We're not going to know what that manifestation looks like until we get to March and April, when it starts going direct back in Leo again. We can maybe look to what the Mercury retrograde has been doing right now as I record this in Leo. There might be some hints on like what could come up depending on what the karma of your Leo is. But when we deal with Mars, we're dealing with assertiveness, we're dealing with passion, we're dealing with our will. And potential conflicts, yes, potential things that could be vulgar and aggressive, right? So Mars is a whole different beast when it comes to the energies that could become versus Mercury, which is all the mental, more about our articulation and our thought process, where Mars is about our body. It's our will. It's the passion we might have for something. It's the force we need in the world to get things done, but to also, potentially wreck things and to hurt ourselves in the process. So when we deal with Mars and Cancer, guys, we're dealing with our emotions. We're dealing with Mars not really being able to express itself. We're dealing with Mars facing insecurity. We're dealing with things even coming up for ourselves that become very insecure. There could be a lot of fear with Mars and Cancer actually as well. Because Mars, again, you have to think of this symbolically. Mars does not like to feel emotion and get all sappy and teary-eyed. Mars, when faced with Cancer, might actually have those breakdowns and those breakthroughs, might actually get overly emotional, but that might be frustrating, right? That might be actually really frustrating. Because Mars wants to go, go, go. It doesn't want to be slowed down. It doesn't want to get into its emotions, okay? It doesn't want to do that. Mars wants to break barriers and move, and it wants to innovate, and it wants to destroy at times, and it wants to move forward and be excited and manifest things in this world. And Cancer is kind of a resting place where we want to nurture, we want to be nurtured, we want to feel. And when Mars is around, things are just going to be wonky there. Okay, a lot of Martian mixed with that emotional stuff. And when it goes retrograde, that's when we're going to have even more of a repression, more of a slowing down, more of a processing, emotional processing of stuff going on in that part of your life. And like all retrogrades, like all transit, there is something in it that we can learn from. There is something karmically fated because we were born into this life. For if you really think about the lifespan of a human in the grand scheme of time, we're not here very long. So all of the retrogrades that are planned in our life story, every single transit that is ever will occur in this lifetime, all has a lesson. All of our life's journey has a lesson to it. There is something. We are constantly evolving karmically here on this planet, in this experience. And when we deal with a retrograde like this one, we have to really examine the totality of our life, number one, but also these house topics and themes in our life. And we're going to be dealing with the Cancer part of our life and the Leo part of our life for the next 10 months in a very big way. And for a lot of us, if we really open our hearts, open our consciousness, and really get serious about the reality of our situations in Cancer, in Leo, we could end up using Mars to our benefit, of course, right? Because the goal is to never be beat down by astrology. It is to transcend astrology, right? And to accept astrology for what it shows us in life. Because we'll never escape the matrix of astrology, right? But what we can do is to learn how to co-create with it. We can learn how to shape-shift with it so it doesn't destroy us, but it allows us to liberate ourselves spiritually, of course, but also psychologically. And then that can manifest in our actions so we can really do what we need to do. Okay? So this is a really profound time, guys. And I'm not going to even mention collective events in this video or politics. I'm actually doing my best to kind of keep my mundane astrology maybe a little toned down here on the channel, but who knows? It's just this video, I wanted to come on and just share with you some of these like hardcore facts about the upcoming Mars Cancer Leo stories that will be unfolding. I want you to even start thinking about that stuff. Feel free to share with me in the comments and everybody else where Cancer is in your life, where's Leo in your life, what kind of stuff's going on there. And yeah, we have 10 months of a lot going on, guys, with Cancer and Leo and Mars. And when it comes to the world stage, we're going to see cataclysmic shifts like we've never seen before in modern history. And this transformation and change is not going to stop for probably a decade and beyond. Who knows? Who knows, guys? But we have a lot happening. And I really believe that this is kind of like the beginning of it, because we're also going to have that Pluto will be ingressing back into Capricorn around the same time Mars goes into Cancer in the next couple of weeks. So we're finally going to be faced with the last bits of what Pluto and Capricorn represented for the world, for ourselves. And then the age of Pluto and Aquarius is upon us for 20 years. So we have a lot of setup and a lot of things that are happening for all of us. All of the readings I've done lately for people, every time I examine what's going on in their life for their Pluto, and they're getting ready for their Pluto and Aquarius 20-year transit, all of them have actually really inspiring things happening in their life. Okay. And a lot of them, my clients that is, are really, I think, on the precipice of really amazing futures. Because I see when we track and map a lot of the things they've been working on, or whatever the case may be, a lot of career stuff. And then the trines and the aspects about to hit their Aquarius when Pluto gets there. I keep telling them, listen, you're not going to recognize yourself in about 5 to 10 years, because Pluto does that. Pluto will take an area of our life, and then it doesn't look the same after its transit's over. Nothing looks the same anymore. And on an individual level, I think this is going to be really inspiring for a lot of people, the Pluto and Aquarius story. But when it comes to these other transits, this is the stuff that we really need to pay the most attention to, because the personal planets like Mars or Venus or Mercury, and yeah, even Saturn and Jupiter, we have to really examine what those are doing in our life more than the outer planets, because those outer planets are like slow moving transpersonal transformative planets that we don't really know the outcomes of what they're going to do until years accumulate. Where with a Mars retrograde and a Mars transit for a 10-month period, yeah, that seems like a crazy long time to us, but it's not. And we're really going to be shown some stuff. We're going to be shown some stuff, and we're going to have to face it head on. And I think that's exactly what we're designed to do, to face life head on, to be quite frank. So yeah, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all very soon.